Hey, welcome back to the podcast. I've got a great episode for you today. We are talking about the effort that we put in and how so many times the effort is actually the reason. It's the reason for the season. It is the purpose behind what we're doing. And I can't wait to share it with you. Let's dive in. Hey, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tammy. I am your host and a master certified life coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. If you follow me, if you've listened to this podcast, if you know me at all, you will know that I love to travel. I love to plan trips. And there's different reasons. Like I love traveling to work events. I love traveling for family events. I love traveling for friends events. I love traveling to just vacation. I love new experiences. I love meeting new people. I get so much joy from traveling. And one of the things, have you ever planned something, planned a trip? Like, I'm going to stick with this travel theme because really this hits home for me. And I know I know that for many of my friends who are also travelers or those who also are planners, this will hit home for them too. But so you spend all this time planning this trip and getting the accommodations, looking at restaurants, you plan what the activities and the excursions and you plan your outfits and you plan like all the things, right? You spend months planning. And then you get to the day of the event and it's not as, it doesn't meet your expectations, or it's still fun. Like it's still good, but it doesn't give you as much joy as you expected. And this is because a lot of the time, like we plan, the planning is giving us our dopamine hit. It's giving us our encouragement. We're excited about something. And I wanted to talk about this today because the whole point is the effort. That's where the fulfillment comes. A lot of times, yes, an outcome will feel good, but sometimes we don't get the outcome we expect. But if you put the goal, if you make the effort, that's the point of whatever you're doing, the goal you're reaching, the vision you have, this purpose-aligned life, this purpose-aligned business. It's about the effort you put in, the planning, the enjoyment, the doing, the being, it's about the process, the journey. You will not lack for fulfillment. And so I just wanted to talk about that today because so many times we plan and we are going after this goal, right? It's this big, audacious, hairy goal, this big goal that we know that we cannot achieve it without God's help. This goal that it scares us to even mention because we're like, I don't know how this is even possible. Or these goals that, especially if it takes other people to help, like we can't depend on others to follow the same path or to follow the same dream or have the same dream as us. Even if you're partners, you still have different dreams and motivations and desires, right? So what if you made the point? What if the journey, the effort, the intentions, what if you used that and you put the focus more on that than getting the end outcome? One of the things that, well, if you have your own business, you'll know it's not easy. And a lot of times the goals you the outcomes that you're looking for are not ones that you really can control. Like if I have revenue goals or if I have client goals or if I have even download goals, like this is all depending on other people. So I can't, I'm very careful about my leading and lagging goals and making sure that that I have a blend of them. Like what can I affect? And then and then what do, what do I just do my part and hope for the best? And also it comes down to the effort and the actions are mine. The outcomes are God's. The responsibility is mine. And the empowerment and the fulfillment and the impact from it, the ripple effects from it, that's God's. And there's so many times that we get to a goal and we feel like we missed the boat or whether we achieve the goal or not. Sometimes it's like, did I even want this? You don't know until you go. You don't know until you get there, right? Or you don't even know what the true outcome is going to be. There's so many times that I will be heading a direction thinking I know where I'm going. And then somewhere in the middle, there's a pivot. There's a turn that I'm like, I see what you did there, God. If you would have given me insight to that, I would have gone the other direction. So you just guided me. You directed my steps. But when we focus on an outcome, and it's the only thing that matters is that getting to that vision, getting to that goal, or reaching that dream, that end revenue goal, life goal, relationship goal, but it's that outcome that is the important part to you. You miss so much gold in the journey. You miss so much of the fulfillment and the joy. Life is not about reaching the finish line. Now, we all will reach a finish line, but you know what? There's going to be so many things that we leave undone. I don't know of anyone who basically before they stepped on their deathbed said, you know what? I've accomplished and I have finished everything I started. I joke that I really I love starting things. I need someone to walk around me and finish them. Like whether it's an art project, whether it's craft, whether it's reading a book, whatever it may be, I start things and then I need someone to help me finish them or guide me to finish it. But the thing is when the effort is the goal, that's the focus, fulfillment and joy and energy and love and excitement and enthusiasm. That's what comes when you focus on the here and the now. It's really important that we do create goals. Without vision, people perish. Like without looking ahead, without, even when you are I took a road trip. I drove back from Colorado and this one stretch it's like 90 miles. It felt like it was 3.5 hours long. It wasn't. It was like an hour and a half. Like it wasn't that bad, but it felt so long to get to that. And if I would have just focused on it was like Kansas. So there was nothing to see. There was no interesting trees. There were a few cars that were going by, but there was nothing to keep my interest. And so I listened to a book and so that way I had something to keep me motivated on the journey. I focused on the insights from the book and the enjoyment from that as I kept driving on. Because yes, the outcome was to get to my next turn. But if that was the only thing that mattered, that would have been a really long journey. Like I said, it felt like hours, like I was never going to get to it. Like I felt like I had driven for like an hour and a half and I look at the mile sign and it was like, you went like 12 miles. And I'm like, what? How is this even possible? But when I changed my focus to the effort, to the journey, when I focused on the here and now, I became more fulfilled and energetic and enthusiastic because I was doing something that mattered to me. I was listening to the podcast, or it was a book, not a podcast. It was actually a audible book and talking with Kyle about it. Like we had a good conversation. All of a sudden that outcome, though was still important, the journey to it became even more important. And that's what I just wanted to talk to you today about, the fact that if, like, what's the point? What's the point of a goal? And we have to, like, as a Christian, as a faith led woman, as a Christ follower, I like to leave room for God to shift and pivot me and to shake things up and direct my paths. And so I do create goals and I pray about them. And sometimes I realize I'm like, oh, nope, that was not the right goal, and I will shift it. But the thing is, I always ask him, okay, Lord, who do I need to be to achieve this? Who do I need to show up as? Who do I impact? What is the why behind it? The journey is where the fulfillment is, in the learning, the experience is. I get really excited when I meet a goal, but there's so many lessons and so many times that I'm like at the milestones on the journey that excite me to no end, that it propels it. And eventually I'll get to the goal and it doesn't seem as hard or as much work, or I realize that the outcome, that goal looks different. But that's okay. It's the effort. If you don't put any effort in, you also won't achieve your goal. If you don't actually make a sacrifice in and make it a priority and change your perspective on what it's going to take to get this goal, you're not going to achieve it. But if you focus on, okay, like set the goal, and then it's like, okay, what journey am I going on to get it? What am I willing to do? Who am I willing to be? What am I going to learn? How can I get excited about this? How can I get excited about the effort? Because let's face it, sometimes the effort's really hard. Sometimes these goals, I am creating in the online world term, I'm creating a funnel. I am trying to do a landing page and email sequence. There's lots of little tedious parts that if you do one part wrong and it doesn't work together, and then it's like trying to figure out, it's like coding almost. It's not a strength of mine. I can do it. Yes. Actually, I've hired someone to help me with it. So now I'm just, following their path of like, give me this information, give me that information. And if I focus on like, yes, that end is like, I can't wait that I can automate it and I can get, like just improve it. And then it gives you all the information. Like the whole point of it is to help you guys get the information to the different events. And because I have a couple events coming up soon, I have realized that I do podcasting a little different than a lot of people. One of the things that blows my mind is the fact that my podcast is rated in the top 2% of the world. I did not start with a following. I'm not a famous person. I am not a influencer. I am an impactor. Like I know, and I know that it's God's work. I know it's the effort that I put in, and He is taking care of the outcome. And I was looking at the steps that I took, because I was like, oh, I just did it. It's like, no, Tammy, there was actually a path there that God highlighted. And so in August 6th, I'm going to do a workshop for many of my clients because they want to start a YouTube channel. They want to start a podcast, and it's like, there's a way to do it that, because I love it and it's easy and it's fun. And this journey that, yes, the outcome is, well, the outcome for me, one of the things that I'm doing the podcast for is to help you guys know me, know, like, and trust me. So that way you can come to me and we can work together and I can help you build your business. I can help you create your purpose aligned life. I can help you understand your purpose and then live it. I have the strategy. I have the science behind it. I have the how. I know the path. I've done it myself. I've done it for my clients. And so part of the outcome for this podcast is to gain clients. Like that's part of it. But I do it different. And I'm like, okay, I have these great ideas, but if I don't have a way of telling you about it and getting you guys to sign up, and like that way you can get information, get the links. So anyway, long story short, like these are things that that there's a purpose for things. It's the effort that matters. This creating a business, creating a purpose aligned life is work, but it's worth the effort. And the effort is where we're going to find the fulfillment and the joy and the peace and the freedom. it's not in the outcome. Sure, that will play a part, but you can see if the outcome was money, you would see lottery winners feeling fulfilled. And so many of them, I think the statistic is like 80% go bankrupt within like 18 months. It's crazy. But that's a good example of it's really not that you don't find the fulfillment in the end. You find it in the effort and the journey and in the process and the stepping out and the challenging yourself and the encouragement you can get from others and all the things like that. So I want to challenge you today. What is a goal? What is something that you really want? How can you focus on the effort, the journey, the path, the framework, the process, the way, the who you're being to get there? And how can that fulfill you? How can that shape you and bring out the goals and encourage you? Because the more you focus on the effort and the actions of and who you're being, it's not just to-do lists, it's also who you're showing up as. That's going to help you elevate and it not only elevates, but it like exacerbates or enhances the outcome for you, because you'll be ready for the outcome when you get it. You'll be ready for this God dream that God has hidden in your heart, that if you sat down and you looked and you gave yourself the freedom to really look at what God's asking you, this unshakable thought or idea, the effort, the process, the journey, the framework, the path, that's going to help prepare you. So that way, when you do reach that mountaintop, you can look back and see how God has shaped you the whole way and embrace it and love it. And then also see what's next for you. All right, friend, focus on the effort. It really is the point. It really is what matters. It really allows God to work in your life, because sometimes our goals and our dreams shift, and that's okay. But when we focus on the journey, the path, the effort that we're in, the steps that we're taking to get there, that's when we feel fulfilled. That's when we feel joyful and impactful and peaceful and all the things, all the feelings that we want, this motivation. Motivation begets motivation. So if you focus on the effort, you're going to feel more motivated as the effort is paying off. So with that, by the time this airs, by the time this publishes, we're going to be on probably day 4 or 5 of our 5-day challenge, Permission to Pivot. And I'm so excited about this. I know I'm recording this before we even start. So I'm just going to assume that it's going well, but I have poured my heart and my soul and my prayers and my tears into this challenge, because knowing that this is what I needed to be able to step in obedience and to step into this life of freedom that God's called me to. And so if you haven't, come join us. Also, coming soon, I will have my funnels done you'll be able to sign up. I'm going to do it again in August. It's going to be slightly different because it is, again, live. So God gives me downloads. There's times that I have something planned to talk about and then it shifts and I'm like, okay, God, I see, I'm just going to go with it and see what you're doing. And it usually is an amazing thing. So what I'm saying is come to both of them. Come watch the replay for this one that's happening this week or depending on when you listen to this podcast, it's the last week of July. And then we're also going to do it in August as well. But it's so important that we really get clear on who God's called us to be. It's important that we shed these expectations and we get clear with the why behind things and how did God wire you and what dream, what goal, what more is he calling you to? Because you are an ambitious and creative and amazing woman. And more doesn't mean that it has to be more energy. It doesn't mean that you have to be a slave to the to-do list. It doesn't mean that you have to set important things down. I guarantee that the God dream that God's put in your heart, this God, and I'm going to push a little further and say this God-sized business, it's going to lead to freedom It's going to lead to impact and fulfillment. And it is about the effort. It's about the process. It's about who you become when you're in God's presence, and who he shapes you to be and who he's called you to be. And then it just starts to uncover, and you see and you feel this amazing connection. So I want that for you. And it starts with giving yourself permission to pivot. It truly does. So reach out to me, DM me. Like if you want information about it, it's in the Facebook group, all the information. It is Divine Destiny, Living a Purpose-Aligned Life. I cannot wait to see you, and I will talk to you soon. All right, with that, choose joy till joy chooses you, and I will talk to you. Well, hopefully you'll be in a challenge and I'll actually get to see your face. So, all right, bye for now.